The Rams get their biggest win of the year against the Seahawks. How big was it? That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Ramily, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Rams, your daily podcast covering your Los Angeles Rams. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. If you're new to the channel, do us a huge favor. Join over 20,000 Rams fans. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. If you want to support every episode, hit the like button. Drop a comment down below. My name is Doug McCain. Friends call me D-Mac. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. I've covered LA sports for over a decade, 24/7 sports, Bleacher Report, SI, Dodgers Nation. As always, I'm joined by the Rams pre-half and post-game show host for the Rams flagship radio station, ESPN 710 LA. He's in his 11th season covering your Los Angeles Rams, the People's Champ, Mr. Travis Rogers. You can follow him on X at Travis Rogers. And on today's episode, we are breaking down the Rams' thrilling 21-19 win over the Seattle Seahawks. Everything that went on in the game, the return of Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, 4 interceptions for Sam Darnold. It was a wild game. The uniforms, we'll get Travis's thoughts. How do you feel about the Midnight Mo uniforms in person on the field? So much to get into, so much to unpack, so much to break down in this one. But first, today's episode of Locked On Rams is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. All right, Travis, so I'm thinking you start kind of macro, kind of a 30,000 feet view, because there's people out there saying, wait a second, the Rams won this game, but they only won it by 2 points in a game where they had 4 interceptions, and wasn't the best day for Matthew Stafford in this offense. I say, hey, all great teams in the NFL, they've shown the ability you can win games in a multitude of different ways. They found a way to win a football game. And as Sean McVay said after the game, there are no style points in the NFL.
I agree with him. I think that this was a terrific win for the Rams. It wasn't one that you're going to hang in a museum as a masterpiece of football beauty, but what it was a win in the division against a really good team. The Seahawks are really good. The Seahawks have an elite level defense. I think that the Rams, looking at it, the Rams were just the 4th team this season to score more than 20 points or 20 or more points. They had 21. They've given up 20 one time. They've given up 22 one time, and then they got smashed by the Bucks early in the season. They don't give up points. That the Rams did enough to win that game, I think, is the only thing that matters. Yeah, Darnold was Darnold. I'm sure we'll get into that, and him throwing 4 interceptions, 4 bad interceptions, by the way. But so what? They won the game. They're on top of the division. They're on top of the conference. They lose the tiebreaker to the Eagles right now. But the Rams did what you needed to do in that game. Just find a way to win the game. They got it done in all 3 phases. I was really impressed. It wasn't pretty. It was stressful. There were long stretches where they couldn't stay on the field on offense, but they won the game against it. I think it's by far their best win of the season. I don't even think there's a close second. I was deeply impressed by what I saw.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the first biggest takeaway is that Seahawks defense, they were legit. Yeah. They were making plays. They were making it difficult for the Rams to have very much success with that 13 personnel. We'll talk about how Sean McVay made a big adjustment to say, hey, the fact that our tight ends are having issues blocking out there and they were blowing plays up, they had to make a little bit of a switch up there. But this is kind of one of those games where I think the defense could really sense it. They could really sense, hey, we have to go out there and win this football game. And they did it where they gave a lot of yards, right? They were outgained by 165 yards in this one. But their
offense was never on the field. Like basically to the entire second quarter and the early part of the third quarter, the Rams offense, I mean, they had the Seahawks had a drive that lasted just under 6 minutes. They had one that lasted just under 8 minutes, and then another one that lasted about another 6 minutes. And there was a couple of 3 and outs in between there by the Rams offense. The Rams defense was on the field for the entire second and most of the third quarter, and yet they still didn't give up touchdowns. I think that's the big takeaway for me on that side is, yeah, it was Seattle moved the ball reasonably well between the 20s, but man, you play against a team like that and you give up 1 touchdown, that's an extraordinary day. They were incredibly good inside the red zone. And I mean, the Rams offense wasn't good, but they were never on the field. I mean, they were very rarely out there. And when they did and they had to have it, they were able to get it done. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, the Seahawks, they got the possession almost 40 minutes in this one, over 38 minutes time of possession. But if you're the Rams, you hold them to 1-4. 1 for 4 inside the red zone. It's a 25% clip. You'll live with that. And then on your end, you're able to score touchdowns. We needed to off of turnovers, which was massive. But we talk about Sam Darnold, right? I mean, 4 interceptions. You hear the jokes. He's out there seeing ghosts. And yes, there were some really bad decisions that he made. And he was throwing on plays where he's staring down tight ends, and Cam Kitchens is doing a great job reading that from the safety spot. But then also you had pressure creating interceptions. You look at the jump pass interception late in the game. You had the Rams coming from all angles. They're running stunts. You saw Puna Ford bringing pressure up the middle. And that really was the big difference in this game. And I will say, Travis, I felt absolutely attacked. I felt borderline embarrassed when I heard Sean McVay after the game saying stats are for losers. Because if stats are for losers, I will have to announce my retirement tour right here, right? I live on stats. I felt like a nerd, but I think that here's the thing. And what he was talking about, though, was because he was told that they did not get a sack from the defensive line, right? But what they did get was pressure. You got 3 QB hits. And we know that when you get pressure, lots of good things can happen. You can get a bad throw, bad decision, holding call, fumble, interception, sack. Yeah. And it was the pressure from the Rams that were bringing in key spots to lead to some of those. And honestly, just give the secondary as ball hawks, dude. And they were making plays. And I thought this was a gritty, gutsy performance by that defense.
I did too. I want to go back to the no sacks thing, and they didn't. You know, at the end of the stat sheet, the number is 0. There were no sacks. Go ask Sam Darnold if he felt like he had a lot of time to throw the ball yesterday. Go ask him how he felt at the end of that day, and if he was pressure free. They were all over him, and I'm not taking anything away from Forbes or from Kobe Durant or the 2 that Cam Kitchens had. They made plays, and But, Doug, those were not highlight reel interceptions. I mean, he was throwing the ball right to those guys, and the reason he was making those decisions is because he was under an incredible amount of pressure. Maybe they didn't get any sacks, but that dude was terrorized out there. This wasn't the game in Arizona last year where they sacked him 9 times, or the game on Thursday Night Football last year, I think, where they sacked him 5 times in that one. This is a 0, but the result was exactly the same, where the guy's just throwing the ball to avoid getting killed out there, and he threw it to you 4 times. And what they did really well was every time it felt like that momentum had started to swing back towards the Seattle side, like let's use that first drive, for instance, right, where the Rams drive it all the way down there. They go for it on 4th down. They get stuffed. Seattle comes back out there like, oh, boy, here we go. Pick. They take it away right away. They go and they score a touchdown. Everything's cool. Second half, Puka Nacua, first fumble of his career. They get it back. What happens next? Pick. They get it right back. And it's an incredibly opportunistic defense. And while stats may be for losers, Doug, you will always be a winner in my book.
Hey, wow, that makes my day. Wow, that makes my day. I'm gonna be crying like Cooper Kupp did after the game on the field. Getting way too emotional there, bro. No, I'm just playing. Hey, it was cool. It was cool to see him be emotional. Was you crying because they lost? Was you crying because I kind of think he was just like, take me back, man. I know the trade deadline's passed. Can we just please? I don't need to play. But that was cool to see. But here's a stat though, and one of the most important stats of the game. And we talked about it all week last week, Travis, is how do you stop this explosive offense for the Seahawks? How do you stop Jackson Smith and Jigba? Because one of the numbers we talked about was Sam Darnold hitting over 70% of his throws above 10 yards or more, right? Those explosives he was hitting. And in this game, Darnold goes 3 for 12 on passes of 10 or more yards. And I want to give a shout out, and I want to take an L too. Yeah, Jameis Winston wants to eat a W, right? I'll eat this L on Emmanuel Forbes because I was super high on him. Then I sold my stock. He's really showing that, hey man, like he's out there competing, and I love that about him. Is the play with Rashid Shaheed? It's like Rashid Shaheed's going to have a step on everyone in this league. And he had that step on Forbes on that streak, and Forbes made up for it. And you saw what made Forbes so intriguing. What made him a first-round talent is, yes, he's undersized weight-wise, but it's the length, right? And the way he kind of knocked that pass out, just played that ball well, I thought it was a good day for him as well.
It was a great day for him. The play that you're talking about was a beautiful play. And kind of going back to what you said a second ago, that he's not Jalen Ramsey. He's not out there, 200 plus pounds, just ready to take a guy's head off. But he stuck his face in there a couple of times in the run game. And if he's able to do that and make plays on the ball the way that he's always been able to do, that brings another level to this Rams defense that we really haven't seen along the way. And, he's going to have to get better. We'll see what Quentin Lake looks like after, he missed basically the second half of that game with that elbow injury. So the secondary is a little thinner at safety with Q on the sidelines. We'll see how long he's going to be gone for. But that Rams defense, the defense won them the game yesterday. Like, I know that Matthew Stafford might win the MVP. Devonte Adams had a weird day yesterday. I'm sure we'll talk about that at one point or another. But they won that game, and they're one of the best teams in the league because that defense, they just don't give up touchdowns. They're just relentlessly effective at keeping teams out of the end zone, and they did it yesterday. I mean, Seattle had ample opportunity to score. They got one touchdown in 4 quarters. That's an incredible accomplishment.
Absolutely. I love the fact that this team is winning on their defense. I love the fact that that's the backbone of this team and the foundation of this group, just because we know what the offense is capable of when they're executing, when everyone is playing up to their abilities. But we also know that offense can have higher variance than defense, right? So that's why I'm so high about on this Rams team. That's why, I mean, look, I picked the Rams to win every single game this season. And typically I'd be like, all right, chill out, Homer Rams guy, take off the Rams colored glasses. But the truth is, for some bad special teams play, hey man, well, for better or worse, I'd be right. This team could be undefeated right now.
The Rams should be 9-1. They should have beaten Philadelphia. They should have beaten San Francisco, and they probably should have lost to Indy. Like, if things go the way that they're supposed to go, they should be 9-1. But the one to Indy, okay, fine. Indy's pretty good. And Indy comes in and, well, all right, that's the NFL. You don't win them all, but they're really, and you look at the rest of their schedule, they basically have 3 games left where you kind of go, all right, let's see what happens next. They got to go to Seattle on a Thursday night. That's going to be a really tough game. You got Tampa coming in this upcoming Sunday. That could be a tough game because Mayfield's, he's a wild card. He could do anything at any point. And then you got Detroit. You got Detroit coming to SoFi at some point. But other than that, the schedule looks pretty, man. I mean, you're looking at a team that might only lose 3 or 4 games over the course of the season. And that is an extraordinary run. God forbid they ever get their kicking figured out. And, we still don't even know. We know that they can make PATs again, but the Rams are really good. That was a tough win yesterday against a really good Seattle team. And I'm as high on this group as I've been at any point this season. That was a great win for the Rams.
No doubt about it. We'll continue to talk about the special teams. Can't wait to get Travis's thoughts on the best punt in NFL history. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
All right, if you're still paying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for just $15 a month. Mint makes it simple. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can even bring your own phone and keep your same number and your contacts. The setup is super easy. You just keep your number and then you're off and running in just minutes. So are you ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/lockedonnfl. Excuse me. That's mintmobile.com/lockedonnfl. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 per month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
And welcome back to Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And also a big shout out to those everyday listeners out there watching and listening to every single episode of Locked On Rams. Cannot thank you enough. If you're new to the show, new to the channel, to the pod, join the Everyday Listeners Club. That's where you watch or listen to every single episode. We drop Monday through Friday, sometimes on the weekends too, and you won't miss a thing about your Los Angeles Rams. Okay, Travis. So here in our second segment, we talked about Cam Kinchins. We talked about Kobe Durant. We talked about the interceptions, the defense. Talk more about the offense. But that punt, I will say, I can already say that I've watched that punt as many times as I've watched Miguel Rojas's Gametime home run the World Series. Have you ever rewatched a punt like more than once, twice? Like I've rewatched this thing like 10. Like how did he place it there in a situation where if that's 20 yards closer with the timeouts, with the defense, I mean, they're going to put Myers in a better position to make that kick. I think if that kick is 3 yards closer, he makes that, and this is a devastating loss. Like Ethan Evans, we were the first podcast I think that was really on him, talking about his history, the Wingate. I mean, the story, the rise of Ethan Evans. And yesterday, it just it came to fruition. He's getting that game ball for me.
It was a phrase that I didn't think you could even put these words together in the English language without the universe spinning off its axis and being the end of all of us. It was a game-winning punt. It was a game-winning punt. Like, that's not how football works. You don't win the game because the punter does something. Sometimes you lose the game because the punter does something, but no such thing as a game-winning punt, or so I thought, and that's what it was. I mean, inside the 1 yard, if you get it inside the 10, it's a very good punt. If you get it inside the 5, it's an excellent punt. He got it inside the 1. It was I've never seen it before. I think you could watch football for another 100 years. You're never going to see it again. And like you said, D-Mac, I really do think it was the difference between Jason Myers making a kick or not. The defense did a great job. They held it 61 yards, even for a guy that had made a 61-yarder previously, made a 57-yarder earlier yesterday. Myers is a really good kicker, but they made him try to line up and kick a bomb, and he couldn't do it. And that's, like you said, 5 yards closer, probably makes it, 4 yards closer, 3, whatever the number may have been. But I couldn't believe it. We were all kind of chuckling when we saw it in real time. Okay, I guess the punter just won the game for the Rams, and I don't know if we're ever going to see that again. It was wonderful. I loved it.
It was really just an all-time punt, absolutely. And I think too, when you kind of look at that, the way that play happened, it was kind of a reminder that in this game, that if, let's say, it's a touchback and the Seahawks come back and they get the walk-off kick, then you look at the Seattle offense outgaining the Rams offense. You look at kind of the Rams offense performance against that Seahawks defense, you'd almost probably say, wow, maybe the Rams just didn't deserve to win this game. And you got to tip your cap to the Seahawks. But instead, it just goes to show that even if it feels like a team is outplaying a team, that those specific plays that you make, talk about the Dodgers, right? Oh, the Blue Jays were the better team, right? But it was the Dodgers that made the big plays when you need to make those big plays, the big hits, the big defensive plays. The Rams showed that, hey, the big moments, they're going to get the results. And the results are the touchdowns and not field goals like they were scoring and Seattle was scoring. The results are getting turnovers, no turnovers for the Rams outside of that Puka Nacua fumble, but no interceptions for Matthew Stafford. So it just goes to show that the important results matter.
It does. And you go back to what you're talking about here, that sometimes the stat sheet is going to say one team will outplay the other. And if you just look at the stats, you're like, oh, Seattle was a lot better other than in the turnover margin. We know how important the turnovers are. But this isn't how the Rams have been winning all season long, which is why them winning like this yesterday doesn't cause any alarm bells to go off in my head. Had the Rams been 8-2 because they keep pitting guys inside the 1 foot line because they keep having another quarterback throw them 4 interceptions, that would be one thing. It's like, this is smoke and mirrors. This isn't going to last. That's not what this is. The Rams have been scoring 30, 40 points a week going back for about a month or so. They played Seattle's really good. I can't say it enough. Like, watching them, nothing came easy. Nothing came easy. The Rams did a really good job on Jackson Smith and Jigba, minus that one crazy catch down the left side, which is about as beautiful as you're ever going to see. But I don't care what the stats are. They beat a really good team in a game that was vitally important for both of those teams. And that's the only thing that matters. If you won a game like that against Carolina, it's like, okay, that's you're just lucky. Just get the hell out of there and count it. This wasn't lucky. This was a hard-fought win.
It was. Think about this. We'll kind of look at some of the negatives in this one, and you got to give the defense all the credit in the world because they were out there all game, and they were absolutely gassed, it looked like, towards the end. The Rams, they had the ball for 22 minutes. 22 minutes. That was their time of possession. And 10:30 came in the first quarter. So almost 11 minutes of that came in the first quarter. For the last 3 quarters, that Rams defense was on the field.
And the Rams offense really was never able to put the game away. When they got the Parkinson touchdown in the second half, which, again, was a direct result of a short field because Darnold threw another interception. But they had a couple of chances in the fourth quarter to just kick a field goal and kind of put this thing. And Sam Darnold driving for a touchdown was not going to happen. But Sam Darnold getting him to the 50-yard line and trying to kick a bomb field goal, that might have happened. They never got that knockout shot on offense. They kept putting the defense back on the field. They kept asking the defense to pull their fat out of the fire, and they did. It was incredibly impressive and a complete team win. And like I said before, D-Mac, I am so excited about what I saw because the Rams can beat you in a variety of different ways. And that's how you win championships. That's how you go deep into the playoffs, where you don't just have one thing that works really well and hope that it shows up. When you can do a lot, they can go score 40 and they can beat you by scoring 21. That's a really good team. Yeah.
And you mentioned the offense kind of, I don't want to say they didn't hold up to their end of the bargain. They were just a very, like one of my favorite McVayisms is the enemy has a say too, right? And like the enemy definitely has a say, and that enemy was definitely lived up to their billing. But you mentioned the offense. Even the last play of the game is an incomplete. The last play of the game for the offense was an incomplete pass that basically took a timeout away. They'd have to use a timeout there, right? So even plays like that, where you're like, wow, okay, like the offense just. Is the offense going to lose this one for the first time in a while?
You and me and anybody that's an everydayer for here at Locked On Rams knows how you and I think about Sean McVay. We're huge Sean McVay fans, and I think they got the best guy in the league. And as long as he's here, the Rams are always going to be pretty good. That being said, prior to that third down play, I said, I'm like, if they throw this ball and it's incomplete, I don't know what the heck's going on out there because I get it. Running it, was it 3rd and 10? I think it was. You're probably not going to pick it up, but you force them to use that timeout. You burn another 35, 40 seconds off the clock. And McVay, it's like he cannot help himself. He has to throw the ball. They had not been particularly good through the air all day long. The ball hits the turf. The clock stops. They get the ball back. They got a timeout left. The whole thing was terrifying. They pulled it out anyway. But, yeah, that play call on third down, I'm like, just run it, make them use their timeout, and let's see what happens. But they got away with it.
They got away with it. Coming up next, we're going to talk about 2 big reasons why the Rams offense didn't put up the points that they were capable of putting up. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
The NBA is back, and there is no better. I'm here to tell you there is no better place to get in on the action than on FanDuel, because FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of the NBA, which means even if you miss the start of the game, right? You're like, you forget, or you're late, or whatever it is, or maybe you missed the beginning of the game on purpose. You don't get your action in then, and you want to see who's hot. You want to see who's riding that hot hand. FanDuel's got you covered. They've got live bets on everything from who will score the next basket to those fourth quarter comebacks that we all love. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay. And you know what that means? That means a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, more exciting, especially when your team is making that late push and you got a little something going as well. And right now, FanDuel's making it even better because new customers get $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So here's what you do. You go to FanDuel.com, you sign up, and you play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
And welcome back to Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcast. Locked On Rams. Now the #1 sports podcast, daily podcast in the game. So definitely. So how about that? Yeah.
All thanks to you, Matt. It's nice to be
Travis. All thanks to Travis for sure.
It's my first time.
Hey, #1, baby. In this one, you look at Devonte Adams, and we talked about the chemistry. There were some drop passes for Devonte Adams, right? And we know what he can do in the red zone. There were some balls there, though, where I know that Devonte Adams, you're just going to set him up for the question after the game. He'll be the first guy to tell you, that ball hits both of my hands. That's a play that I've made throughout my career. That's a play I should make now. And for a game where you're kind of comparing Cooper Kupp and Devonte Adams, Like those are plays you would have liked to see him make, so you could point and be like, see, that's why we moved off you and we went to you. And it's not like he had a bad game. He's been great this season, but he could be better. Let's just call it what it is. He could be there. There's a better version of Devonte Adams for the 2025 Los Angeles Rams that we have not seen yet.
There's a way better version than Devonte Adams than the guy we saw yesterday. I mean, they had 1 catch for 1 yard, and it was a touchdown, and it was the 1,000th reception of his career, which is an incredibly impressive accomplishment. But he was really kind of a non-factor yesterday. Like you mentioned, he had some drops, and it's weird, Doug. I kind of go back and forth. Devonte Adams leads the NFL in touchdown receptions. Like that's really good. That's a category that you'd like to lead in. But I agree with you. I think that full Devonte Adams mode that I think we've all been waiting for has not really been unleashed yet. I think that it probably will. I think that it gets a little complicated. Like when Puka was out, you could tell that he was starting to kind of go like this, and he's getting in the end zone a lot, like I mentioned, but we haven't seen that game where it just felt like he's completely dominating the game. In the short areas of the field in the red zone, he's uncoverable. You could feel the touchdown he did get last night. Stafford was like, no, I'm going to him because I know he's going to be open. He just kept feeding him over and over again until they finally got it done. But I'm with you. I think that if here we are 10 games into the season, if you're giving Devonte Adams a letter grade, you give a B. It's certainly not an A plus. It may be a B plus because he's getting in the end zone as often as he is. But I think when we went and acquired Devonte Adams, it was oh my gosh, I can't wait to see what's going to happen. And we've only seen little glimpses of that. We haven't seen the full version of it. Exactly.
We haven't seen the full version. And he should be dominating games. There are really moments there where they should be getting these 30, 40-yard catches over the middle. And Matthew Stafford, it has some passes that aren't like 10 out of 10 Stafford passes, but he's the ones where you give him a chance to make a play. He just hasn't made a play on it because the hands are just stoned. Like, I mean, the hands are just not. It's the reason why is the hands are just not making plays they used to make. So hopefully that he corrects that. And like you said, I mean, as long as you're in the best version towards the end of the season, that's what matters. But what really stands out about what you just said is you said 1 catch. And the Rams only had 1 player have more than 2 catches yesterday. And it was Puka Nacua. He caught 7 for 75, had that 19-yard long. The next closest was not even Devontae, was not even Ferguson, Higbee, or anyone else. It was Colby Parkinson. He had 2 catches for 14 yards in that touchdown late. 6 other players had 1 catch, and then combined for just 41 yards, and 23 of those for Tyler Higbee. So that's not the dream box score results for a Rams offense. So that's not something you want.
No, it's not. But here's the good news. If I'm trying to put a positive spin on those numbers that you just put out there, Puka had a decent day, and Puka's always going to have a pretty good day. But the fact that you could still win a game with Devonte Adams catching 1 pass for 1 yard, I think speaks to the amount of weapons that they have. Like you said it, Parkinson had 2, Puka had the only guy with more than 2, but a bunch of other guys had 1. And the Rams before, it was either Puka was going to get it, maybe Kupp would get it, but that was kind of it. There was no, maybe Higbee might get 1 or 2 here or there, but now you've got 7 or 8 or sometimes even 9 or 10 guys that are an option every time they break the huddle. That's new for the Rams. That is not something that they've had before. You could throw it to a whole bunch of different guys, feel like there's a play. You could throw it to any of those 4 tight ends, and it feels like something good may happen. You can throw it to both wide receivers. You can throw it to Kyron Williams out of the backfield. They have so many different weapons this season that we haven't seen before. They've always had 1 or 2, but they've never had 4 or 5, and that's what this feels like, and that's what you saw yesterday. Nobody killed the stat sheet, but everybody got in on it a little bit, and that's really hard to defend.
Absolutely. They definitely have a lot more clubs in the bag than we've seen them have in this last 2-3 year stretch, and it definitely shows. Got some more stuff we'll talk about. We'll push it to tomorrow. Got to get your thoughts on the uniforms, though. I mean, for me, first of all, they won, and that's a big thing for me. Also, they're called the Midnight Mode uniforms, right? And I think it's fitting because Sam Darnold turned into a pumpkin in this game. So I think there's that. But also, I sound like a nerd, but I tell you, the curl of the Rams thing, it's basically a smaller, more modern version of the actual Rams uniforms that were peak, the Dickerson era, the 80s, 90s, everything that we saw early. And I like them. I think they're pretty. I think they were pretty clean, and they weren't like the Cardinals, which were too much. But the floor is yours on the Midnight Mode Rams alternates, the rivalry edition.
I'm glad you liked them.
What don't you like about them? Let's start there. What don't you like about them? How about that?
The Rams aren't black. That's what I don't like about them. The Rams are blue and yellow and white. That's what I don't like about them. They're fine. If you're gonna do an alternate uniform and you're gonna bring in the color palette where you're gonna go black, I guess. I know a lot of teams do it. I know they're really popular at SoFi Stadium yesterday. The place was filled with them. Clearly, the fans like them. I'm a bit of a traditionalist when it comes to these things. Every team has a color palette that I would like to see them stay within the confines of said colors. The Rams went outside the It's fine. They weren't the worst things I've ever seen. They're not as bad as the Dodger funfetti ones that they wear for their City Connects. Those are an abomination. They're okay, but I love blue. I love yellow. And I love the Rams uniforms, both the classic ones and even their modern redesigns have really grown on me over the last few years. But I just don't like the hey, let's just throw a black alternate out there. It feels obvious.
Yeah, I mean, for me, if I had the choice, I would say have a throwback game. And it's an absolute crime. It's an absolute crime that the Rams haven't had these throwback games at SoFi Stadium when this year you've seen those absolutely 10 out of 10 perfect Tampa Bay Buccaneers creamsicle jerseys. When you've seen the Seahawks, their throwbacks that they wore early, those are absolute bangers too. And yeah, why are we not seeing throwbacks?
You're talking like the Eric Dickerson era Rams.
Even when they did the girly golf ones, right? I mean, like that year where they made them wear those helmets and they wear them like 5 times a year, right?
Yeah,
I mean, like
I'm with you.
People, Travis, like it's time for you to flex. You know what I'm saying?
I have no flexion to speak of
on the phone.
None.
They could we talked about this before the show. They could totally go back to just a modern version of the best uniforms in football. And it can be like the Raiders and the Packers and the Browns and the Chicago Bears. Like the Rams had no business changing their uniforms, these modern gradient things. And I think this is a perfect opportunity to know that, hey, you can do the cool, fun stuff as the alternate, and then you can actually go home to where you need to be the Dodgers. The Lakers have gone to this banana yellow thing where it looks atrocious, looks like Michigan yellow, but they should go back to USC. Look, man, USC's Cardinal uniforms. Hey, man, say what you want. Those things are absolutely iconic beyond belief. And UCLA football, you know that stripe that LSU wears and the Patriots, like that actually the Colts, UCLA actually started that. Red Sanders created that look, right? So I mean, it's like kind of the only thing we have is that we created that shoulder stripe. So I don't know how I found a way to make this about UCLA, but I found a way.
When UCLA brings their football program back in several years, they can reintroduce the
Remember this name, Bob Chesney, head coach from James Madison. I started vetting him last night. No one asked me to vet him, but I'm vetting him.
Your team Chesney at this point?
I'm team Chesney.
All
right, what are your thoughts on that? I need your overarching kind of thoughts on on do you think they should maybe go back and just go straight classic mode?
The ones they wear, not the midnight mode ones, but the ones that they're wearing now have grown on me a great deal. I like them a lot. If they want to rock those, great. If they want to go back to the Eric Dickerson era ones, I would love it. Look, that's the ones they wore when I was a kid. That's the ones they wore when I first started paying attention to football. Pat Hayden and Vince Ferragamo and those guys. I'm like, okay, I'm down with this. Those look great. But either of those are fine. But let's just make sure that yellow and blue are the predominant colors.
All right, let's get your midnight mode out of 10.
5?
5?
Yeah.
Even with the win, you're gonna watch that punt.
The reason it's a 5 is because of the win.
Oh my gosh, so they'd be like a 0. All right, I give him a 10. I'll give him a 10. 10 for alternates. 10. Okay, all right. But we'll maybe they'll grow on you more. All right, but that's a sick UCSB hoodie with the Argentine cowboy. Shout out to my cousin's gonna be pitching for them.
Ole.
There you go. That's a banger right there. But that's going to do for this episode of Locked On Rams. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. And you can follow the People's Champ, Mr. Travis Rogers, at Travis Rogers. And tune in today, DeMarco and Travis in the afternoon on ESPN LA. You know, they'll be talking lots of Rams football, mostly Rams football today. Maybe sprinkling some Lakers, right?
Yeah, we'll see. I think today's feeling like a Rams day. I think they're 8-2. They're on top. It's a Rams day.
Talk about that big Dodgers trade, right? Go.
Can't wait. Raisel Iglesias, is he coming or not?
There you go. That's some hot stove talk over there. But that's gonna do it. And until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.